guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Glory. So today I am talking about abusive relationships. It is not acceptable for you to go through abuse. There are different types of abuse. There's emotional abuse, there is physical abuse, there is sexual abuse, and there is verbal abuse. None of these forms of abuse are acceptable. Although most people usually know when they are in an abusive relationship, sometimes it can be hard to tell. This video will help you figure out whether or not you are in an abusive relationship so that you can go ahead and get the help that you need and get out of that situation. I will make a separate video that goes over how to get out of an abusive relationship. However, in this video, I am just giving you some signs that will help you recognize abuse in your relationship. The first form of abuse to recognize is verbal abuse. So if you're in a relationship where your partner is constantly calling you names, insulting you, making bad comments about your hair, your looks, your clothes, and making jokes about how stupid you are, these are all forms of verbal abuse. Sometimes it can come in the form of a joke, but if someone is constantly joking negatively towards you, then that is a form of abuse. Especially if they do it in front of others. They make you feel bad, they make you feel low, they make you feel worthless. That is a form of verbal abuse, and it is not acceptable. The second form of abuse, or the second way that abuse can usually manifest, is in a form of control. So if your partner is constantly monitoring you, he is in charge of your finances, he's in charge of your schedule, where you go, who you hang out with, what you do, then that can be a sign of abuse, okay? If you're in a relationship where you feel like you have to constantly take permission from your partner to go out, to do anything, to hang out with your friends, then that is a form of abuse. You should be willing and free to share information about yourself with your spouse out of respect for him or her, or out of just mutual friendship and understanding, but you shouldn't feel the fear of doing anything without telling your partner. That is a form of abuse. And usually with control, you can find yourself in a situation where your partner is constantly asking you where you are, texts you constantly, calls you constantly. Sometimes they may even require you to send them pictures of where you are, of who you're hanging out with, just so they have full control of the situation. That is a form of abuse. Do not mistake that for love. Most guys do not like texting and calling that often anyway. So if you find yourself in a situation where a guy is constantly texting you, asking you where you are, what you're doing, who you're hanging out with, that is stalking, and that is a form of abuse. Another way that this control can manifest is usually at the beginning of a relationship, the person would want to move in together too quickly. And usually the reason for that is so that they have full access to your life, to all the information about you, so that they can be able to control you better. So beware of any relationship that is going too fast. And in this situation, your abuser would often get very angry if you do not provide them the information about your location, about what you're doing, and because this makes them feel like they're losing control, because they constantly want to be in control of your life, of your every movement. This is abuse. The next form of abuse is isolation. So an abusive partner would try to isolate you from your friends, from your family, and from anyone that they think loves you. And the reason for that is because they believe that your family can interfere with his control of you, and they can make you realize how controlling the abuser is. So if you find yourself in a relationship where someone is constantly preventing you from communicating with your family, that could be a form of abuse. So do listen to your family and friends, your close friends, when they criticize your partner. So if both your friends and family have the same criticism of your partner, then you should pay attention. And really, before getting into any relationship, whether dating or marriage, you should make sure that your family and close friends, people who truly love you, make sure that they are in agreement with your choice of a partner, because usually these people can see things that you don't see or things that you ignore. They can usually see all the red flags more so than you do. So definitely never get into any relationship or marriage if your close family and friends disagree about your choice of a partner. Now, there are very few exceptions where I would say you can go ahead with a relationship when your family is not in agreement. But for the most part, if you have Christian family and friends, and if your family and friends truly love you, you should never get into a relationship or marriage if they disagree with your choice. And number 4 is jealousy and possessiveness. An abusive partner is usually very jealous of their partner. They do not want you to have friends. They do not want you to be progressing. They do not want you to be successful, because they feel like, again, when you have all these things, success, friends, family, that kind of pulls you out of their grip, out of their control. So they're constantly trying to keep you down, constantly trying to prevent you from living your life and from flourishing. And they would usually get very jealous, especially if you talk or if you have friends of the opposite gender. The next form of abuse is sexual abuse. And unfortunately, this form of abuse is more common than people are willing to admit, and it's more common than most people know about. Many women suffer from sexual abuse, and this is completely unacceptable. No man should ever force themselves on you under any circumstance, even if you are married. If you are not ready, if you do not consent, and if you feel uncomfortable with having sex with anyone, then it is considered abuse, and that is unacceptable. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're being sexually abused, you need to get out of that situation. You need to talk to someone that you love and trust. You can talk to a pastor, you can talk to an older couple that you trust, and get help. No one should ever endure sexual abuse. So definitely talk to someone today and get out of that situation. If you are going through anything remotely close to abuse, get out of that situation. Talk to someone, get help, and figure out how to leave the situation safely. And I just want to talk about sexual abuse in younger, usually teenage children. The rate at which young teenagers experience sexual abuse is alarming. If you have a friend or a relative who touches you inappropriately, or who gives you makes sexual advances towards you, I strongly encourage you to talk to someone. Talk to your parents, talk to your pastor, talk to your youth leader, talk to someone and get help out of that situation. Never be afraid to speak up. Never be ashamed to speak up. It is better for you to speak up and get out of that situation than stay in that situation where you're going to continually be abused and you're going to basically be traumatized for the rest of your life. And if for any reason you have been going through any such situation, I want you to know that it is not your fault and that you do not deserve it, and that God can heal you and get you out of that situation. But you have to speak out first, because if you do not speak out, nobody's going to speak out for you. And there's so many consequences into being in an abusive sexual relationship. This is no joke. And parents, I just want to encourage you to talk to your teenage daughters, talk to your teenage sons. Ask them questions directly. Ask them if anyone is having inappropriate relationships with them. Because in most cases, people who are sexual abusers are usually close family members or friends who are well known to the family, and people who you would never think that they would sexually abuse your child. So please, 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 if you have young teenage children, have this conversation with them today, not tomorrow. Talk to them about sexual abuse and make it open, make them comfortable to be able to approach you and talk to you about things like this. Many children go through these abuses, and most of them never talk to their parents, and nobody ever knows. And these things could be happening right under your nose. Please, please, please talk to your children. Please, please, please make sure you're monitoring who they're hanging out with, especially those uncles and cousins and close friends that you trust or believe that they are saints. Okay, you never know. You just never know who is doing what to your children. So please pray for your children, talk to them, make them comfortable to be able to share such things with you, because most times they are afraid of the abusers. They're afraid that you may not even believe their story. Okay, please, let's put an end to all this abuse. The next sign of an abusive relationship is intimidation and threats. An abusive person is constantly threatening. They would threaten suicide, they would threaten to kill you, they would threaten to burn down the house if they do not get their way. And such people are actually very dangerous, because sometimes they do end up following up on their threats. Okay, so take this very seriously. If you are in a relationship where a man or a woman has threatened to kill you, you need to pack your bags and leave that situation. Okay, it is not okay to tolerate any threats of death or any threats at all. I made a video recently about a Ghanaian Florida pastor who threatened to kill his wife, and she never believed him. And the following day, he went ahead and shot her at work and killed her. So these are serious things. This is a matter of life and death. So if you find yourself in a situation with someone who threatens to kill you, end it. That's it. There's no discussion. There's no ifs or buts. You have to get out of that situation. Run away and spare your life. You can always get another man in the future. But if you lose your life, then you have no chance of even starting over. Or better still, stay single. It's better to be single and alive than to be in a relationship and you're dead tomorrow. This is very serious. Do not take any death threats lightly. Another sign of an abusive relationship is physical violence. Okay, you should never be in any situation where a man raises his hand on you. Completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. An abusive partner who does physical violence will usually hit you or pull you or push you, hold your hands and twist your arms. That is completely unacceptable. And they will often blame you for provoking them. They will often blame you for getting them triggered to the point where they're so angry and they have to hit you. Some women can be very provocative though, in the way that they talk and in the way that they disrespect their partner, but it should never get to the point where anyone raises their hand on you. So you should never date, talk less of marrying any alcoholic or a drug addict. And you might think that marrying them will help them, or that they might change down the road, but that's simply not true. Never marry an alcoholic or a drug addict, because they will abuse you for the most part. Okay, so stay away from that. And if they are going to change, if they are going to recover from their addictions, they need to do that on their own, for their own sake. No one should promise you that they're gonna stop drinking once you're married, or that they're gonna stop smoking once you're married. That never happens. That is a trap, and you should be wise enough to stay away from that. Never be in a relationship with any alcoholic or a drug user. Once you have decided that you're going to leave the relationship, you need to be wise in how you do it, especially if you were living with this person or if you were married with them already. You need to be very wise on how you approach it, because for the most part, abusive partners would harm or even kill their partner if they know that they were planning to leave them. So it's a very crucial part of the process when you do decide to leave. So definitely get help, definitely talk to someone. You can talk to a counselor, talk to your pastor, talk to your family, and figure out a safe exit strategy. In any case, never be rude to your abuser, never fight them, and never tell them that you are going to leave them until you have a safe exit strategy. And for the most part, you should leave without telling them, without letting them know that you're leaving them. And when you're far away in a safe place, you may then tell them that you have left. So definitely be safe when you do this, but under no circumstance should you remain in an abusive relationship. You deserve true love. You do not deserve to be abused, to be neglected, and to be basically punished. Okay, remember that you were fearfully and wonderfully made by Almighty God, and you deserve the very best. I pray that the Lord would give you strength, that the Lord would give you the courage and wisdom that you need to be able to get out of this situation. You can do this. It will take some time. It may be painful at first, but it's for the best. So definitely get out of that situation if you find yourself in it. God bless you.